What's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST. It's fantasy sports today. We're already having a good time. My name's Matt Striker. His name is Joey P. Joe Pisapia, part of the great team behind the glass. Sam Y, the sports guy. TD Jake, and of course, all of you getting ready to dominate another week. If you're new to the show, or perhaps you've just lapsed, at SportsGrid TV. Those are media handles. Interact with us ahead of a jolly old good game. Bonjour, an international game, if you will. Joe, I'm going to bring you in for some culture here as we start things off. The morning games take in a lot because a lot of people want to get in on the action. But sometimes that's not the best move. Maybe we start there. Your thoughts on this international game?
Well, my thoughts are easy. Bet the interception props today, boys and girls, just like last week. That Carson Wentz pick certainly came back, didn't it? We love that one, and I'm sure he's going to throw one against the Browns today. And Dylan Gabriel's making his NFL debut, so that is surprising. I think a lot of people thought, well, they'll probably stick with Joe Flacco through the international London games. They would be wrong. So as you look at the tail of the tape here, you see the Vikings are the favorites in this one. You're getting plus 158 here on the Cleveland Browns on the money line. The over-under is 35.5, and the Vikes are favored by 3.5, which tells you they're just a slight favorite probably in this game, and rightfully so. It's a neutral field. Now, you can look at the Vikings being out there as a positive and staying there 2 weeks in a row, and the Cleveland Browns having to adjust, or you could think, hey, the Vikings are out there longer and out of routine longer, and away from their families longer, and away from the facilities longer, and all the stuff that they're used to. So there's definitely, I think, a lot of ways you can come at this game, but I'm just going to approach it very simply. Turnovers, interceptions from Carson Wentz, Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure it's going to happen. And I think people are excited to see what Dylan Gabriel is, and maybe not so much what Shedeur Sanders is at this stage in the game, but we will find out if Dylan Gabriel can give this Cleveland Browns offense a little bit of a buzz. But it's been a rough week. I mean, last week we did a really good job on the show, 4-0 on the props. We traded for Ashton Genty. We picked up Woody Marks on a Sunday morning. Right. We crushed it. Yeah. Now, the problem is everybody's teams got crushed, Matt, because in week 5, everybody's hurt, and people have lost significant players yet again here. In 1 week. It has been a rough go for injuries in the first month of the season.
All right, yeah, it's a great lead in here. So we have bye weeks, we have wide receiver depletion at the beginning of the season. It was tight end. So let's just start right there. Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, done for 2025. Think of the managers that invested the draft capital. Man, oh man, what to do?
Yeah, this is really tough. I had people message me, man, I had Neighbors and Hill, and I lost them both in the same week. That's tough. It's a tough day at the office for sure, and that's why you watch us here on FST, Fantasy Sports Today. We're trying to help you, and unfortunately, the bye weeks are not going to make it easier to help you. But look, Malik Neighbors, my guess is next year he will bounce back and he'll be okay. That turf, still a problem. You saw Malik Neighbors get hurt again. You saw Joe Alt roll an ankle on that turf. It's the worst turf there is. My kid's supposed to play on it in a couple months from now on that turf, and I don't know if I feel good about it. I got to be honest with you. I don't think the kids should be playing on that turf.
Can we discuss that for a second? What should be a great opportunity for you, just to enlighten people, Joe, and flag football coach. He takes his daughter's team all around, competitive, really, really good. Joe's a really good coach, and you'd imagine he's a good father, good friend, good analyst, right? You have this great opportunity to go play on that field, and now you, as someone who's in this industry, what are your concerns? And if you have these concerns for your child, how does ownership feel about the players?
I don't know. I got to figure out what kind of cleats you wear on the MetLife turf. That's what we got to figure out, because I don't know, man. It looks pretty rough. But I guess maybe it is. I think I don't know. We'll cross that bridge in November. But it is really difficult because you don't come back from losing Malik Neighbors, a number 1 pick, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, for Giants fans too. You get Jackson Dart, you get the good vibes, and then all of a sudden you lose Malik Neighbors for the season. So now the question will be, well, if they can, itch out maybe 7 wins or 8 wins, do they keep them and say, well, next year, let's keep Dable, let's keep everybody, let's add Malik Neighbors back, and maybe we've got something. Now it's going to continue to just linger, and we're not going to get full answers to our questions. Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, that injury to me, I think, is more serious. You have the dislocated knee, you have the ACL, the PCL, you have an older player. I mean, this is a career-threatening injury, so you have to really keep a tail on that in dynasty leagues. But also, it wasn't the only injuries, Matt, because Bucky Irving not expected to play in week 5. So we're going to get Rashard White probably doing most of the work. You will get Tucker in there as well. You're going to get, what we usually do here. It's just like a mix in the backfield. But Rashard White should be the guy here, at least getting most of the carries. And Rachaad White's been able to be a number one back in terms of.
I do agree that he should be a number one back in terms of. There you go, Joe. Perfect. All right. We'll wait for Joe to come on back here. But, yep. Are you back now?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Copy that. All right. Continue on.
I was just saying that, you're going to get that mix in the backfield, but Rachaad White's handled the full workload before. So you're probably in a good spot there with Rachaad White. A lot of people picked him up, and I think he is far more streamable than some of the other running backs that people have picked up this week. I know it's a tough matchup against Seattle. Also tough, Lamar Jackson, right? It's been a tough year for premium players in the month of September, right? We've lost Lamb. We've had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson lose QBs that we thought they were going to be playing with. We've had Blake Neighbors injury we just talked about. It's been kind of rough. And Lamar Jackson, another premium player, he's not going to play this week. Probably not next week, too. It could be. So it's going to affect all those pieces. The Ravens are on the brink of being irrelevant here as a one-win team. So there's a lot to break down and a lot to figure out. And injuries really have been the theme so far to start this year. And I don't think there's a fantasy team out there that hasn't, unfortunately, had to bear the brunt of all of these early injuries. And I think it's magnified when it happens so early in the season.
I agree, and I don't want to continue the opening of the show on a down note, but we are going to have to get some injuries. But I'd like to just inject a little bit of some positivity, if you will. Dylan Gabriel making his NFL debut, just from a betting standpoint, there's an unknown to it. Does that make it exciting? Does that give the Browns' offensive ecosystem just a tick up based off of the fact that there really is no sample size?
It's possible. Cedric Tillman's out for this game, too. He was on the IR with an injury. So, again, Isaiah Bond is an interesting guy this week to stream. I think that's a player that I know I picked up in a lot of my leagues. He was widely available, a very talented wide receiver out of Texas. A lot of people liked him as a prospect more than they liked Matthew Golden. Certainly, guy's got a lot of speed. So you could see Isaiah Bond, you see Quinshon Judkins. Look, the Vikings defense still very good. Last week, turnovers killed them in that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and DK Metcalf single-handedly kind of just took over in that first half, and it felt like the Vikings never really recovered. So you can make a case here for an upset with the Cleveland Browns. That defense is good. Perhaps everybody rallies around the new quarterback. You saw the injection of life a new quarterback gave to the Giants. But the difference is that was in their own building. If this was in Cleveland, I might feel a little differently about it because Cleveland's defense has played very well at home this year, and on top of that, you do have a crowd that's excited for something new, just like the Giants fans were, and it was infectious. Now, does that carry over for Jackson Dart and company on the road this week? That's to be determined. And the Saints, I think, you see them slightly favored in this game today. I think it tells you kind of where people are, which is saying, let's just pump the brakes. Jackson Dart was fun. The stat line wasn't absurd. And now they're going on the road, and New Orleans nearly pulled off an upset last week of Buffalo.
All right, now let's move back to the injuries, who's in, who's out. And again, reminder that the investment draft capital that managers have used, we have to find a way to mitigate the loss. So Brock Bowers did not practice on Thursday. To what I understand, he will not play today. Joe confirmed that, and then continue on.
Yeah, it seems like Brock Bauer is not going in the right direction there. So, again, looking for replacements on the waiver wire at tight end is going to be a little rough. I'm sure Darren Waller was already a very heavily picked up guy for a lot of teams that were struggling with bye weeks for tight end. So now you're starting to look at the streaming guys like Fannin this morning possibly out there. Mason Taylor of New York Jets starting to get more work. Maybe even Theo Johnson of the Giants. That's probably where you're looking here for the streaming tight ends. Chuba Hubbard is not going to play. They don't think he's going to go on the IR, so you're going to get Rico Dowdle up today. So there you go. You're going to get Benson, who's out now for the Arizona Cardinals. You're going to see Amari DiMercato and Michael Carter work today. Those are two guys that are streaming running backs. Terry McLaurin's not going to play either today, so that's another week with no Terry McLaurin. Again, these premium guys being out. Really tough times here. So hopefully George Kittle will be back soon, because certainly that would be a nice addition for our fantasy rosters. More FST when we return right after this.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job, certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. You're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia with you here, giving you everything you need in order to dominate. Remember, good is the enemy of great. Oh, let's just win. Let's just show up. No, we want to dominate. All right, that's just how it's going to be. And the reason I'm coming in so hard here is because it's time for FST Fantasy Over-Under. Last week, our guy Joe went 4-0. For the entire season, he's 11-5. And I'll wave this flag because Joe will be the first one, if he were 0-4 and 5-11, to step up and tell you that. But it's important to understand it's what kind of wagers are these? Yeah, the little minus 110, little plus 105, whatever you're doing here. But when you hit the ones that matter, 4-0 and 11-5 mean a whole lot more. Let's continue to build the bankroll. Joey P, it's time for over-under. It's simple. You've done this before. I'll give you a player in a situation. You tell me if it's going to go over or under. Jared Goff, the indoor cat, 225.5 passing yards. Does he go over or under today, and why?
Yeah, I'm going to go over here. And to Matt's point also, you know, when you're looking at today's games, it's rough because you got a lot of unknown. You got quarterbacks that are playing that we haven't been used to. You got some young quarterbacks also, like Jackson Dart. You've got situations where backups are playing. You've got backup running backs, in some cases third or fourth string running backs, like the Arizona Cardinals playing. So you want to take things I think you can control. And I think the one thing I can definitely control is the Cincinnati Bengals defense is not good. And I don't see how it's getting better at any given time. So Jared Goff, to tell you the truth, my only concern is that do we get into a point here where, I don't know, 225, like do they put up a big early number on the Bengals and then we kind of coast through that? That could undo this over. But what I'm trying to think is also, all right, let's look at the other side. The Bengals have had a rough go. They've had some rough matchups. They're a bit on the road, right? And now they're going home. And I feel like at home, at least we have a chance here for the Bengals to kind of put up some offense. And if they do, then they should push Jared Goff to over this 225.5. Again, it's not an absurd number. We're not looking in the 240s here or 260s. It's 225.5. So as long as we get some big plays here from Jameson Williams or from Jahmyr Gibbs, you should also look to, there's a really interesting narrative this week too with David Montgomery playing in hometown of Cincinnati for the first time in front of his sister, who is wheelchair bound. So this is like the first time he's playing in front of her since that accident. And you might get a big touchdown opportunity there. I'd go bet that today, just throwing that out there too. That narrative has been floating around a lot of places, and it's probably a good one. But I do believe that the Cincinnati Bengals are in a spot here where I don't think they can stop the Detroit Lions. It's just whether or not they can put up enough offense to keep Jared Goff and company going.
All right, we're talking to Brooklyn-born and raised Joey P., now settled in New Jersey, the author of the Fantasy Black Book. Let's talk New York football. Let's talk about the New York Jets here. We'll start with the quarterback, Justin Fields. 185.5 passing yards, over or under, and then it kind of opens the door to the next option on the table. But let's start here.
Yeah, we're going to go over this. And shout out to Brooklyn, PS 236, baby. Let's go. Justin Fields over. You don't usually look for the over on the passing yards for Justin Fields, but 185.5 against who? The Dallas Cowboys. I mean, that secondary has just been absolutely leaking all year. I mean, they made Russell Wilson look like a god at that point. They're over 400 yards. So, again, theoretically, this should be one that you can approach. Justin Fields is not going to have a lot of prolific passing years, I think. But this is one where I think this game certainly could help that total for the year. And, again, I just don't see where it stops. Garrett Wilson, I think, is the guy that you would connect to it. We could talk more about that in a second. But it feels like, for Fields, this is a spot where they can be competitive. They can pull out a victory in this game, too. It will be an upset of the Cowboys. Cowboys, went to that overtime game last week, so maybe a little tired there coming off that Monday night. That's possible. Or Sunday night, excuse me. But I think that you're looking at Justin Fields here. Mason Taylor's emergence a little bit is good. Unfortunately, we're missing Braylon Allen, so now it's going to be a lot of Breece Hall. There's also look for some Breece Hall overs today because my guess is he sees the majority of that workload, maybe a little bit from Davis there, but mostly Breece Hall. So that's also a little change in dynamic of this backfield. So we'll see how the Jets do against the Cowboys. But again, it's a winnable game here for the Jets. It's whether or not they undo themselves as the Jets are one to do once in a while.
Absolutely. All right. The familiar sounds of shouting from the rooftops. That's city life. So you mentioned Justin Fields here hitting the over. In order for that to happen, I'd imagine that Garrett Wilson will be involved. 62.5 receiving yards is the number. Going to go over here as well?
I am. He is just clearly the number one target in this offense. He's by far the best target in this offense, and I think that is where we want to start here. And if we like the over on Fields, because it's not an offense that spreads the ball around very much, you probably want to just also attach it. You could parlay this bet. Like, I feel like this is either if Fields go over, then Fields is going to take Garrett Wilson over with him. And I think that's something you have to pay attention to and really look at. And again, we keep coming back to the Cowboys and what they haven't done. They are the worst in the league in terms of yards given up in receiving. They've given up 1,237 yards in a month. I mean, that's, slightly absurd. The next one is the Rams at 1,193. You wouldn't think of it as the Rams, but that's where we are. So to me, it's the Cowboys continue to make even quarterbacks that aren't necessarily the top tier guys look top tier against them because they just can't seem to stop anybody from a scheme standpoint. So that's a big problem. So I would put these two things together even. I think this is kind of like your little parlay. I know last week we took all overs. I was looking for some unders that I really like, but again, I'm just trying to control the stuff that I feel like I can control. Bengals defense bad, Cowboys defense bad. Let's go against them and let's hope for the good outcome.
All right, I love it. And I love when you talk to me like I'm a caveman. I tell it to my wife all the time.
It's good.
Yes.
Cowboys,
okay,
Cowboys secondary bad.
Do you remember the movie Eat, Drink, Man, Woman? The joke was that's how Arnold Schwarzenegger asked out Maria Shriver on their first date. The over-under here is for Emeka Egbuka. I want to hear Egbuka's Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation. Joe, I know you have one. 61.5 receiving yards, over or under, and why? Take us to the break.
It's actually a good Schwarzenegger name when you think about it. Emeka Egbuka, we're going to take the over. Why are we going to take it? Because obviously what we've got here is we've got the Emeka Egbuka. There's no Mike Evans. He is out. He's out. He's got the hamstring problem. I don't know. He's a sissy boy. He can't play because the hamstring is hurting him. But what we got to do is we got to get the Emeka Egbuka in the chopper. We got to take him this week. We got to go to over. Why? Because 61.5 yards. That's what we're doing here. But 61.5 here. Again, Egbuka is a stud. Seattle, very good defense, but Egbuka just makes plays. I think that's what you love about him. And also, what's money? Baker Mayfield as an underdog on the road. Just close your eyes and take it every single time. That works out. It's just the lay of the land, baby. All right, we'll be right back on FST. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there is some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat dealing Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job, certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump, and you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Brianna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST. It's Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia with you here. We are about 6 minutes here on the East Coast away from kickoff. I do believe it's a 9:30 start. If anything happens before the show is over, of course, Joe and I will update you. We'll also talk about some of the possible in-game bets that we can do. We take you right up to the game and then stay right here because it's smarter to be on SportsGrid because we're going to have you the entire day. We're making a lot of people a lot of profit. Let's continue. Joe, it's time to buy low and sell high. This first buy low, our producer asked Joe before the show, hey, this guy buy low? And Joe's answer was, yeah, because you can. Joe, the floor is yours.
Yeah, we do trade live streams over at Fantasy Pros every single week. And I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive as a quarterback in this system. Now, maybe there will be a pivot. Maybe if this week goes bad, they bring in somebody else. Do they make a trade for a Russell Wilson or something like that? Anything is possible at this stage, especially when you look at the fact the Ravens aren't great, right? So if you're the Bengals, right, and you're looking around and saying, man, can we get back in this race a little bit? Because the Browns are not very good. All of a sudden, the Ravens aren't very good, which is shocking. And they had so many injuries, too, on defense. Matt Abikwe's out for the year. You've got Kyle Hamilton might not play this week. So it's really tough spot there. So I don't know if that's going to be the case, and I don't know how that would work to bring in a quarterback at this stage or sign somebody, but I still think Jamar Chase is intriguing because great players tend to find a way. If you look at the history of DeAndre Hopkins' career, pretty much, this guy was putting up massive numbers with everybody from Brian Hoyer to Brock Osweiler. I mean, the guy was just always putting up numbers, right? So I think that Jamar Chase is a guy that if you can get him at the right price, he is still very intriguing. So he's one of the buy lows this week that I would take a shot. Again, you're not paying the number 1 overall pick for him anymore, but you got to look somewhere else. And the other guy, too, I want to look at is Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey has not gotten off to a great start this year. Keenan Allen has. Okay. Quentin Johnson certainly has. Those guys are scoring the touchdowns. And Ladd McConkey, everybody's looking around going, well, what happened to Ladd McConkey? He was that second-round pick that everybody wanted to take. I know we were very excited about him last year, and he delivered on all that promise. I think teams started game planning for Ladd McConkey a little bit, and I think that's been the difference. And I do believe that, when we signed Keenan Allen, that was probably going to hurt McConkey. However, I think the hate's gone too far. I could see a scenario now where they're missing both the left and right tackle, right? So Slater was out for the year to start the year. Now you have Joe Alt, who's out a couple weeks with a high ankle sprain. I think the name of the game here has got to be Justin Herbert getting rid of the football quick. And that should be a good look for Ladd McConkey this week. So I think if we're looking for the breakout rebound week of Ladd McConkey here, I would circle this week as the one. If we don't get it, then you can really panic and lose your mind. But if we do get it, the buy low window is probably gone. And again, you can't wait too long, right? We talked about Ashton Genty last week. Try to make some trades before games start. Eventually, it's going to work out. Last week, 3 touchdowns, right? It definitely worked out. That window, slam shut. You're not getting Ashton Genty. Now, same thing with Ladd McConkey. Same thing with Jamar Chase. If both those guys ball out today, people are going to be less apt to make a deal for them. So those are 2 guys that I'm buying on the talent and hoping for the best here because they have not returned their draft value. And I think once we get in October, draft value kind of goes out the window, and there's an opportunity for you to start buying some of these extraordinary talents. And I think over the long 17-game season, you will see them start to perform better, even if some of the situations like Chase's aren't the best.
All right, now let's go to our producer's favorite portion here, the sell high portion. And we go to Denver, again, our producer's favorite city in all of the 50 states. A sell high here, Denver, backfield, go.
Look, J.K. Dobbins has been really good, but didn't we say that last October 1st, I feel like? Weren't we kind of having the same conversation?
Sure, this film.
Right, so, and I think this is exactly what they needed J.K. Dobbins to do in the Denver backfield, which is, hey, get us through September, carry the workload. Let's shave some carries off R.J. Harvey, who's the new toy in the backfield. But you saw last week, R.J. Harvey's starting to work more. R.J. Harvey's the guy in the passing game. R.J. Harvey is the more explosive back, and I think that is something to pay attention to. So a lot of teams are hurting at running back, right? People lost James Conner. They lost Benson. They lost Chuba Hubbard this week. They've lost Bucky Irving. I can go on, but the segment's not long enough for all the running backs that we've already lost here in week 5. So J.K. Dobbins has a lot of value, especially with the bye weeks hitting now. I'm not saying you have to just punt him off the island, but at the same time, I think you kind of kick the tires on a deal for him. And the other one that I'm looking at too, Zay Flowers. That's another one where I'm looking at and I'm saying, okay, if Lamar's going to miss another couple weeks, maybe Zay Flowers is another guy to look at possibly selling off. Good, talented player, not a great scenario the next couple weeks. And Christian McCaffrey leading the league in touches. He has 130 already. Just think about it. Put him on the block. See what you can get. It's a lot of touches. We'll be right back with more FST. Don't go anywhere.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
he's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in,
right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Let's get right into it, back down to business ahead of the international game. If anything happens between now and the time we go off the air, we'll keep you updated and we'll give you the angles, the way that you can maximize your profit. But now it's time for FST Start Sit. Joey P, I'm going to give you some options. Let's go. RJ Harvey, Denver, running back at Philadelphia, tough defense, or Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at the Chargers for the Commanders.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And again, some of these are going to get ugly. Just fair warning, folks. If you have a lot of injuries on your roster, you might want to turn away, but you should still listen, probably. It's probably a good idea. Look, it's a tough matchup here for RJ Harvey against Philadelphia. But at the same time, I think that what you saw last week could be the beginning of that backfield starting to turn a little bit towards Harvey. Then you have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt coming off a weird day of his own, where I think there are a lot of expectations and it fell short. Now you're getting Jaden Daniels back in the mix. And with that issue of the knee, he might not run that much, especially early going here. So you could see them leaning a little bit heavier on the workload. I would say this. I think JCM is the floor guy where, I think he's going to get enough carries to be like a steady floor if you just need your points and you don't want to get crazy. Let's say, you didn't play against Kyron Williams or one of these guys that put up a big Thursday night football performance. Then probably JCM, take your points and get out. But if you are playing from behind, I do think there's some kind of upside potentially with RJ Harvey. The Eagles, still offensively need to figure some things out. And if they can't, they're going to keep putting the defense in some weird spots. But I would expect that RJ Harvey eventually starting to take over this backfield. And I think last week was the beginning of that turn. We'll see if I'm right. So the upside play is Harvey. The floor, I think, is JCM. And I would look at your rosters, look at your opponents, and make the decision that way on this one.
All right, we move on to the Elegantes de Nueva York sin Malik Neighbors. Sorry, I was in SAP. The New York Giants without Malik Neighbors. So we looked at Darius Slayton at New Orleans as an offensive choice, or Malik Washington for the Miami Dolphins without Tyreek Hill at Carolina. Again, just overall offensive ecosystems. Where are we going, Joe?
Yeah, Malik Washington was a very popular pickup with Tyreek Hill out, but I think you're going to see Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I think you're going to see kind of all hands on deck. You're going to see more Darren Waller. So I'm going to lean with Darius Slayton. I think Wan'Dale is the better of the two Giants wide receivers this particular week, but I think Darius Slayton carries a little bit more touchdown equity against the Saints. So it's a tougher start here. Rookie start on the road, for the first time. Typically doesn't always go well. But again, I can't necessarily get there with Malik Washington unless you're getting return yards in your fantasy league on top of whatever he gets. So he's playing wide receiver. I understand the theory behind it. And a lot of people are saying, wow, he's the speedy guy. He's that guy, you go deep and take shots with. Maybe Malik Washington does have a big play or two in him, but I think I feel better about Darius Slayton, his role in the offense over the years. He's been kind of that steady guy that's just kind of always just been a giant, I feel like. Yeah. So he knows the system. He's been around, and I think you lean on those veterans if you're a rookie on making your first start. So on the road. So I think this is certainly something where Darius Slayton would be my lean.
You mentioned a rookie quarterback making his first start on the road. It's amazing because Jackson Dart at New Orleans doing just that, or Bo Nix at Philadelphia. A reminder about that defense. Joe, where are you going here?
I'm going to go with the kid here. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be pretty, but I think I want the rushing equity that he brings at the end of the day. And that Eagles defense in Philadelphia, if he was playing in Denver, I might feel differently about this game. But playing in Philadelphia is tough for anybody. Second-year player, too.
Imagine coming off the Phillies beating Ohtani and going into that building. Forget it.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, the Phillies lost. I think people are a little sour and looking to take out some aggression on somebody, Right. Let's just say the local Radio Shack is out of batteries, folks. Let's just say if the Radio Shack is still open.
Sorry,
but yeah,
Philly, we love you.
Hey, mate, I love you. My second city, baby. I love Philadelphia. But I'm going to go with Jackson Dart here. Take the rushing equity, the rushing upside, the rushing touchdown ability. I'm not saying Bo Nix can't go out there and put up a good game, but he has not looked like the same guy this year. We can call it sophomore slump. We can call it teams adjusting to him. Whatever you want to call it, it's been that. And Jackson Dart's still a little new, so there's not as much tape on him. Again, it wasn't a prolific stat line last week for Jackson Dart, but we're talking fantasy here. And from a fantasy perspective, that rushing equity that he brings, the rushing touchdown upside he brings, it isn't the toughest matchup on the road. It is the Saints, one of the lower rung teams in the NFL. So it's not like he's going on the road to, Philadelphia. So for me, I'm going to take the spot here with Jackson Dart and hope for the best.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Mark Andrews without Lamar Jackson against a tough Texans defense, or Darren Waller, who had a questionable tag on him, and he's from Miami at Carolina. Which way are you leaning and why?
Yeah, I'm going to lean here with Darren Waller, believe it or not. And I'm not trying to be prisoner of the moment of what I saw on Monday Night Football. I'm not trying to do that at all. But there is an increased need for him in this offense now. There is an open opportunity for target share in this offense now. And I think those two things and the touchdown equity he would bring helps. And we've seen already last year, Jonnu Smith, what he was able to do in this offense. So if they think Darren Waller can be even a 70% version of that, well, that's, I think, more useful right now than Mark Andrews with Cooper Rush playing quarterback against a really tough Houston Texans defense. That's the one thing. Texas defense is very good still. So I'm actually going to lean with the streamer Darren Waller here. And again, just hoping for the best. I like the quarterback situation more. And I think whenever you're trying to make these starts and decisions, eventually it always comes down to who's leading the offense for these guys. And if you like the answer of Tua Tagovailoa more than Cooper Rush, I think that's your answer right there.
Well said. All right, this Carolina game actually has another feature here. Is it Rico Dowdle, who seems to have a workload in front of him, RB34, or is it Michael Carter? Now, we're hearing a lot about what's going to go on in Arizona's backfield, and probably a timeshare. He's RB35. Joe, which way you leaning and why?
Yeah, again, this is not pretty.
Boy, oh
but
boy, Joe's silence speaks volumes, my friends.
I wish these weren't the decisions we had to make in week 5. It's like I'm in a mourning period almost, I feel like, for the running back position already, and it's just kind of rough. And here we are. I think nobody knows the answer to what the Michael Carter DeMarcado backfield looks like. Nobody does. We can all speculate, pretend we do. We think we know DeMarcado's role kind of looks like more of the passing guy, and Carter looks more like the early down guy. That's a good theory for us to have, but we don't know in practice what it looks like. And I don't know, trusting the Arizona Cardinals offense is going to put us in a good spot. That being said, then we got to look at Rico Dowdle here with the Carolina Panthers. Now, Rico Dowdle is a guy that I think is a decent running back. We've seen him get some opportunities to be the guy in short spurts when he was with the Cowboys. Without Chuba Hubbard today, I think I lean towards Rico Dowdle. I don't think he's going to be the only guy to work, but I think he's going to be mostly that guy, and I think that's the best we can hope for under the circumstances. But, Matt, it's been rough. I mean, I'm sure for your fantasy teams too, like mine, we're all trying to just figure it out right now. But I think the other thing you got to look at too is some of these streaming tight ends you're going to have to look at. We talked earlier, looking like Brock Bowers, hadn't practiced all week. That's never a good sign. Doesn't look like he's going to play. I know, we were just at kickoff here for the early games coming up, so we'll get you updated there. But it does feel like right now people are spending more fab in week 5 than I feel like we could possibly imagine. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I think that's why I find myself each and every day, multiple times a day, just looking at my team. I know a lot of us do this, looking at the league transactions, looking at other teams, seeing who they have, who's out, thinking of trades. The good thing is that everyone is being affected by what's going on. And if there is a team that just happened to be lucky and you're looking at a team that's sitting undefeated, it's still a long season and there's still plenty of time. Even if you have no wins at all, if you just continue to monitor the league, monitor your league as well, Joe, I think it just helps inform things overall. And I found that it's helped my wagering. So there you go. On the other side of this break, we're going to do waiver wire ads. So there's always help coming, Joe.
Yeah, always help coming. And we're going to try to give you every possible situation we can here and scenarios to add some players. And if you watched last week, you added Woody Marks early, and it's about getting ahead of the curve when it comes to some of those guys. Trying to look at what the waiver wire is going to look like next week. And let's get those guys on our roster now just in case, because it saves us a lot of money. Imagine how much money you spent on Woody Marks this week after that Sunday performance, right? Now, all of a sudden, it looks like he is the new guy in that Texans backfield. He's got a good matchup today. He's easily a guy you could play against the Ravens with the way that defense is played. So, again, let's get ahead of the curve. Let's look at what the waiver wire could be during the week and some guys that can help us in week 5 get the job done. So don't go anywhere. We're going to give you the names of the players you need to add when we return right here on Fantasy Sports Today. We'll be right back on SportsGrid after this.
Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat Dylan Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job, certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's a, you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquil Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump, and you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Brianna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, keeping one eye on the international game, the other on the waiver wire, and taking your questions at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. We want to hear from you. We go all around the country, and we take your issues upon us. All right, let's head out to Tennessee, where the question is a running back that is available in at least 6 out of 10 leagues. Give me a fresh name. Somebody may be coming back. And Joe, we know when guys are coming back off an injury, they're the most valuable they can possibly be. Who do you like?
Yeah, look, Tajay Spears is going to be active, I think, for the first time today. And I think that's something to pay attention to on the waiver wire right now. Currently, he's available in basically 60% of leagues. So is he going to get a huge workload out of the gate? Probably not. Tony Pollard has been okay. And I just think the Titans are in a weird spot. You had the play calling change last week. That didn't help. It feels like at some point there will be a coaching change. I mean, things are just not going in the right direction for the Titans. And then whenever that happens, you might see a complete overhaul where people start getting evaluated for next year. And it could be a situation where you see a lot more Tajay Spears throughout the rest of the second half. So I think this is one of those stashes. And I think a lot of people not on the radar too, because they're not thinking about the Titans offense, A. And B, they're not necessarily looking at Tajay Spears because he has no stats to sort for the year because he hasn't played yet, right? So coming off the injured reserve for the 4 games, now's an opportunity where you can pluck a guy off the waiver wire who most people in your league probably don't even realize is on there. And I would stash him for sure. Bye weeks are coming here. We're going to be missing RBs, an enormous amount of injuries here to the running back position. You can't have enough depth right now at that spot. So I would be looking there. Also, quick update here on the Vikings and Browns. We had a Jordan Mason fumble that turned into a huge run for Quinshon Judkins, and now just missing a touchdown here, Dylan Gabriel in the end zone. So now we're at 3rd and 2. We'll see if the Cleveland Browns can get a score here or settle for a field goal. But Matt, Tajay Spears seems to be that guy too. Like I said, that one of the many running backs I think you should stash now instead of trying to add on Wednesday.
All right, our social media going wild here. They want more running backs, and they're looking for more no-name gang kind of guys. Let's look at almost free squares, guys that are available in maybe 9 out of 10 leagues. Maybe someone that's going to be more involved in a prolific offense. Who do you have?
Look, Brashard Smith has clearly been the guy for me that has looked more explosive in that backfield. Pacheco has not. Kareem Hunt is not. So let's get more touches for Brashard Smith. And I'm not saying he's going to take over the backfield necessarily this week, but if he has more touches and he starts to look good or he has a touchdown, he'll probably be the waiver wire ad of the week, just like Woody Marks was last week. So this is the week 5 version of Woody Marks, everybody. So if you can get ahead of the curve this morning and you're listening to the show, do it. He is only 9% rostered. He's available in 90% of leagues. Stash him at the end of your bench right now, because if he has a good game this week in prime time, especially with everybody watching it, his fab budget money will go through the roof because people are going to want whoever the best back is in the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And right now, just with the eye test, it seems like it's Brashard Smith. He's got the burst. He's got the explosiveness. He hasn't touched the ball a lot, but when he has, you could see the difference. There's a little bit of a spark there that Pacheco and Kareem Hunt and the rest of the guys just have not had. So to me, Brashard Smith is a guy that I want to add, and I'm going to try to be patient. Even if he doesn't hit this week, I do think there's an opportunity for him later in the season to emerge still as the guy. You could see the Chiefs make a move at running back. I think that's unlikely. I think by far they're going to take a look at Brashard Smith first to see if he can help them there, because I think right now that's what you want. You want to get this run game back under control, back helping Patrick Mahomes, add Rashee Rice back in a couple weeks. You got Xavier Worthy back last week. You saw what a difference maker he was. He had a huge game. Like, things could be turning around here for the Chiefs in a fast fashion, and Brashard Smith could be a part of it.
All right, we're taking your questions, trying to help you at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. And right now, a viewer in Langhorne, Pennsylvania asks, I want to get in on the Denver Broncos offense. I don't want to spend too much. Where should I go? Joe?
Well, first, let's go to London because we've got a Harold Fannin Jr. touchdown from Dylan Gabriel. So there you go. So one of the streaming tight ends we talked about, right? Hey, pick up Fannin right now, play him for Brock Bowers. Well, he's going to be a tight end one this week because he got his touchdown. So it was a nice little design here. You had Gabriel, the little fake handoff rolling left. Again, that's what he gives you that Joe Flacco doesn't, right? Is that ability to move in the pocket and make some more athletic plays. You know, when you're in your 40s or a little less athletic, Dylan Gabriel, a smaller, more athletic quarterback, and already right now it is 7-0 Cleveland here in the first quarter of that game. And then getting back to Troy Franklin, Matt, this is a guy where, you know, he has the opportunity with Bo Nix to continue to grow that rapport. It feels like he's going to be the number 2 guy in terms of receiving in this offense. I know Mims, you know, had the touchdown last week, but I would still look at Franklin, especially today as a streamer when you're losing a lot of guys, because Sutton's going to have a tough day at the offense getting locked up with the number 1 corner of the Philadelphia Eagles, which means Troy Franklin probably is going to be a little bit more open in space. So Franklin at 39%, a decent streamer for this week with some more upside potential, but I'm surprised that the roster percentage is still so low.
All right, with the time that we have left, give us a quarterback, and if you can sneak a defense in before the break, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, look, you need streaming quarterback this week, right? I mean, you know Lamar Jackson, people are looking through the waiver wire, and Tua Tagovailoa is out there against the Carolina Panthers this week, so why not? I know he doesn't have Tyreek Hill, but he's still, I think, one of the better names out there still on the waiver wire, just 27% rostered. I would take him today, and who knows? I mean, maybe without Tyreek Hill, Tua is a little happier. There's been some problems with the two of those guys. Maybe there's no pressure on him. He's still got Waddle, he's got Waller, he's got Malik Washington, and he's got Devon Achane still. And I think that's the other thing, too. He's got somebody that can really help pad his stats with the yards after catch. Carolina defense, also, no bueno, not great. So let's make sure that we take a look here at Tua as a streaming quarterback. And then for the defense, Matt, you know, I think the easy one here for me is the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals have a really good matchup against the Titans. I think you just keep going against this as much as you possibly can and ride this wave. Now, they are 60% rostered, so they're not available everywhere. But where they are available, I think they're definitely streamable this week. Matt, I know it's early here, but Dylan Gabriel, so far, at least on this, you know, early going here, paying some dividends here, maybe a little bit of jolt. Are we seeing another Jackson Dart repeat in week 5 where we turn things over to the kid early on and all of a sudden the Cleveland Browns come out with a W here?
If not Jackson Dart, then why not Dylan Gabriel? Why not give these young quarterbacks an opportunity? And it's better for us as wagerers because it makes the teams more exciting and it helps their offense as well, Joe.
Yeah, certainly a lot of panic going on here, I think, for the Vikings fans. You don't want Mason putting the ball on the ground here. That's not a good look for him. And from a fantasy perspective, keep in mind, his schedule gets tougher, and Aaron Jones eventually does come back. So think about that, too, when you're making your deals. We'll be right back with an update in the London game and our 3 and out when we come back.
Well, Shadur, which quarterbacks are you talking about? Because there's some bad quarterback play out there, but the dude who can't beat dealing Gabriel out for a job and can't beat Joe Flacco out for a job, certainly can't lay claim to being better than any other quarterback in the league.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
That's a lot for a closer. 10. That's you're not a closer anymore if you blow 10 games. I mean, my goodness. That's
He's mentally broken too. Like, it's to the point where, like, Dodger fans aren't even mad at him; they're more mad at the Dodgers for putting him out there.
Putting him in.
Right? It's more so.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, guys, like, he's done.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball has decided it is time to put balls and strikes not just in the hands of the umpires, but also the robot umpires, as they say. The ABS system is now officially in place starting next season. Now, keep in mind, they're not just throwing this out there. They have used this at the Arizona Fall League, and they've also used it at different levels of the minor leagues as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Everything changed at that point. They went and got Jonquel Jones, and they really had that triple threat monster team. That second year they lost in the WNBA Finals, 3-1 against the Las Vegas Aces. Year 3, they finally get over the top hump. And you can question whether they should have won the title with that foul call late in Game 5 that sent Breanna Stewart to the foul line.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt Striker and Joe Pisapia. We just had an absolutely fantastic time. And while I have the moment here, I just want to remind everybody that if you go on to your Google, Amazon, whatever it is, go check out the Fantasy Black Book. It's not just because Joe wrote it. It's not just because I've done a show with Joe for now almost going on 6 years. It's because the book is good. And the way that he approaches fantasy, the way that he approaches sports in general and wagering, it's just going to change the way you look at everything. And I think that's what we need in this day and age. Every single person is clamoring for the same thing. We're all trying to find that good bet or that good fantasy pick. Joe kind of skews things to the side. So while everyone's going that way, we as listeners and watchers of this program and this network and followers of Joe and followers of us, we go a different direction, and it's just a nice streamline to profits. All right, it's time for 3 and Out now. 3 things that this team is looking forward to. Want to tip the cap to Joey P, Sam Y, the sports guy, TD Jake, our graphics crew, everybody. First thing on everyone's mind is Jackson Dart's second start, and not because it rhymes, just because it's going to be fun. Let's see what this Giants offense can give us. I know as wagerers, a lot of people are kind of squeezing on their money. They want to get in on the Giants, but they need to see more. Well, today is going to do that. Remember, no Malik Neighbors, so you're going to have to see how this offense adjusts. Once it shows its personality, we'll know how to wager on them. We'll know how to attack the waiver wire as well. Second thing on the list here, these replacement running backs. Folks, let's just take a breath. It's still early. Let's not all clamor. Guys get hurt, it's football. Eventually it'll be flag football, but probably not in our lifetime. But they're moving towards that, if not leather helmets. Guys get hurt. Let's not panic. Let's try to work with what we know. We know who's healthy. We know who's going to give us points. We can chase the speculation, but don't rely on it. Don't rely on a replacement running back to just anchor your team this week. It's not how it's going to work. And last but not least, Houston at Baltimore. Amazing parity in this league, how everything is completely turned around. It brings it full circle to how Joe organizes the Black Book, turning everything on its side. And with that, Joey P, let's analyze the Houston at Baltimore game. Why is it going to be so important for the rest of the season in the league moving forward?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. I mean, the Ravens were my pick for the Super Bowl, so it's not looking good right now. I mean, maybe they go on an epic run. Maybe they need to be, I don't know, chasing for a change. Maybe. Like, I mean, is that the problem with the Ravens? Like, we weren't hungry enough. We're at the top of the mountain too long, where we feel like everything's handed to us. You can make a case for that, where, maybe they're better off trying to be the team that backdoors into the playoffs for a change and then kind of gets hot at the end and then runs the table, because the other hasn't been the case. You've lost home playoff games to Patrick Mahomes. You've had some issues here in some different spots. So it's a great question. Now, I think the Houston Texans, even if they lose, they you could still make a case for them finding a way to win that division. I think it's going to be a little tougher here with the way the Pittsburgh Steelers have at least gotten off to a hot start. I don't think the Steelers are world beaters, Matt, but I mean, you're looking at two teams staring down the barrel of one win here, getting into October. I think that's kind of shocking for both of those teams here and where we're at. But injuries are going to play a huge part of it. That Ravens defense just has not tackled anybody. They have not played well. And now they lose Matabikwe at the front, too. That is a huge loss. You win those games on the trenches, right, Matt? We always talk about that. I mean, in your opinion, who would you be putting money on with Cooper Rush-led Ravens at home or the Houston Texans on the road, who've looked pretty pedestrian most of the season?
Yeah, it's tough because you allocate your resources when you look at the schedules. You want to be betting on this game, but at the same time, a voice inside you says it's a stay away completely. But if you're forcing me, I still like Baltimore. I still like those weapons overall. I like the fact that they're at home. And I think that Houston still has to find themselves. We're mentioning that Woody Marks is now going to be a part of that offense. That defense is going to be stingy, but they might not be there just yet. But as you always say, and as my dad always said, God rest his soul, turnovers make the game. So there you go.
There you go, everybody. All right, so let's take a look at some of the 3 and out this week and what we're looking for. Second start from Jackson Dart. What's it going to be like? It's on the road. Certainly we're going to see a lot of Cam Scatterbo, which is fun. I told you Cam Scatterbo was going to be fun, and I don't know how long it's going to last, Matt. But while it lasts, it's going to be fun to watch, and we're going to enjoy it as much as we can. Replacement running backs. There's going to be a lot of people who spent fab on replacement running backs like Carter and DeMarcado and the host of others here, Rico Dowdle, and we'll see whether or not that pays off in the long run. We'll find out. And then the Houston-Baltimore game, and that's a huge one. We're going to be paying close attention to that. Also, huge attention here because the Minnesota Vikings just made a big play. So don't go anywhere. Sports Grid right here. Stay on the grid and let Pro Football Today walk you through the London game and the rest of the NFL slate for Sunday. That'll do it for us. The story of the game goes on from Matt. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Now let's get to a player who was taken in the first round of every fantasy football draft, and thus far has produced the least points, George. I mean, I thought you'd just take a rookie running back in the first round and you get yourself 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. But Boise State's Ashton Jeanty for the Las Vegas Raiders, we got out of excuses, right? Like at this point, it's, they got to give him the ball more. They got to do this. They got to do that. I mean, George, I look like Barry Sanders? Like, that was the comparisons? Like, I haven't seen any of that yet.
Our panicometer, it doesn't go high enough here. All right, because this is, I mean, come on, we're freaking out here. I don't think it's all Jeanty, by the way. He has more yards after contact than before contact. That pretty much lets you know what the problem is there. All right, the Raiders needed a running back, sure, but they need an offensive line. All right, they need a couple of offensive linemen. It's not something you can fix in one off season here. So yeah, we're gonna eat it with Jeanty. He's not gonna be worth the first round pick in fantasy. It's just not this year. In future years we'll see here, but not this year. The offensive line is not very good. The defense is not very good, so they have to throw the ball more in the second mix. They're trailing every game, so that's hurting us as well here. So yeah, like I said, the panicometer, it doesn't go high enough for this. Okay, I am more than concerned. I am not calm. I am critical. I am flipping out.
Isn't there going to be a time where he just breaks it free? George, like what you said is not false, but I think there's a point being missed here. Why has he not broken free one time the whole season? Not once, to just run away. Like he's Devin Singletary right now. No offense to Devin Singletary, but that's who he is.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on SportsGrid.